So I wanted to tell you the other resources that I use with my students. Now, of course, we use all the questions out of the SAT Blue Book as our source for authentic SAT material, but there's some other books that I found on the market that I think are terrific to supplement weaknesses for different students. Now, almost every kid I work with needs to work on their vocab, and this is the book that I use, Direct Hits, written by Direct Hits, Claire Giffords out of Atlanta, and she's the one that writes these. What I love about these books, two things. One, they don't take 1,000,000 words and try and get you to memorize them. They take 250 words and they work with Latin roots and they give it to you in the vernacular. What I mean by that is they don't give you dry dictionary definitions. It's actually written with pop culture references. So I've had students who grumble and roll their eyes when I assign them material out of this book. They'll come back and say, you know what, I know I was only supposed to read the first chapter, but I read the whole thing because it was really interesting. Now, not every student does that, but enough students do it that they really end up liking this book. So you need to get a vocab book that students use in order to have it work, and I've had a lot of success with this one. The other place where a lot of students need help is in writing. Schools don't teach grammar anymore. So I've looked and looked and I've finally found a terrific writing resource. This is The Ultimate Guide to SAT Grammar by Erica Meltzer. It has a different cover on Amazon. This is an earlier edition of the book, but it's terrific. It talks about grammar at a high school level, and she doesn't cover every piece of grammar. She just covers what's tested on the test, and she goes through and explains exactly how it works, and then she also gives you a page of exercises, and all the answers are in the back of the book. So a lot of my students use this as well to really bone up on those areas that they're weak in. For math, I've got two different recommendations for math depending on where you are. If you're in the 500s or want to get to the 500s, this is the book that I recommend. This is the New Math SAT Game Plan by Phil Keller. It's a terrific book. He's a math teacher out of New Jersey. Has lots of great information on how to set a strategy, and it's got terrific information on math. I'd never understood functions before, but I read his 2-page explanation in here on functions, and now I totally get it. So that alone is worth the price of this book. Again, really, really good resource for all sorts of math questions. If you're higher than the 500s, if you're in the 600s, going for the 700s, this is the book that I recommend. This is Pwn the SAT, written by Mike McClenathan out of New York. And it's a terrific, terrific book. It's super hard. So it's kind of like going to the gym and lifting weights where it's really painful, but you know it'll pay off. That's exactly what it's like when I have to work through this book with my students. Really, really tough, but man, does it work you in the best ways. So if you can get through this book, the SAT is going to be easy in comparison. Terrific resource. Oh, and the other thing my students like about this is it's not dry and textbook. He talks about zombie blood and like all sorts of things that boys especially really respond to. It's not my sense of humor, but it really works with my students, and they love working with it. The final recommendation is for reading. Now, this is The Critical Reader, also written by Erica Meltzer. Do not tackle this unless you're already well into the 600s. It is dense and heavy and really, really dense, I think is the best way to say it, and a great resource. It'll absolutely help you get into the 700s and the high 700s. She breaks down exactly what you need to do to work through the SAT critical reading section. But if you're not in the 600s already, this won't make sense to you. So those are the resources. I hope you find them as valuable as I do.